dive buddies. This is Scuba Goat Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver.
Hey there, dive buddies, and welcome to the show. On today's episode, I have one of the many colourful characters that makes the dive industry so enjoyable. This guy just makes me laugh 24/7, so I make no apologies for the countless laughs you may hear from me during the next hour or so. Other than having a huge passion for life and moreover the aquatic world we venture into, he's worked all over the world and invested many years in the dive industry. He's visited some amazing destinations before deciding to set up shop and call Indonesia home. Now, I love to visit Indonesia and have regularly included Nusa Penida as a meeting point at the start of any Indonesian expeditions I organise. And I've watched Blue Corner Dive Nusa Penida grow over the years, and I love the progression that this little dive shop has. Today we talk about this absolute gem of an island, the dive shop, how to get there, and what you can find above and below the water's surface. Also, some really random local pastimes. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Jason Fondis of Blue Corner Dive Nusa Penida. Hello, Jace. How are you doing?
Matt, I am not too bad. I'm all right. What can I say? It's a groundhog day as always. So yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good, thanks. We're ticking over.
Have you got any kind of sign of people coming back to the island yet?
Actually, yes. Strangely enough, only within like the last week. I briefly went over to the sister island, Nusa Lembongan, to have a quick conversation with my business partner over there, and we were talking about pretty much the same I would imagine with most dive operators about the best ways which we can bring in new procedures to essentially do our best to keep everybody, staff and customers as non-COVID reactive as possible. So, I assume this is probably the same the world over with everybody who you speak to, on these podcasts and about what they're looking at doing next. We're looking at procedures involving everything from coming into the dive center and signing up to, different ways maybe of getting on the boat, staggering sort of like into groups, like getting on the boat to minimal amounts of hands being passed between things like equipment to, washing equipment and procedures of doing that. So, I've sort of snuck over to Lembongan and was having this conversation with my business partner. And then, we were talking about business and bookings and whatnot. And it's like, have you had anything on the radar? And in like the last sort of 3 months, it's like, no, man, it's just, tumbleweed, crickets. And then I came back and there was an email in my inbox asking me if there's, details about actually an open water course. And then literally just before we had this conversation, I've just had an email from somebody asking about diving and or the possibility of an advanced open water course. So yeah, in the general, in sort of like the close quarters, I think, now it's, well, the word's getting out on Bali anyway. Bali is sort of slowly opening up. I believe the opening date for us, or for the locale for like Bali, is July the 9th. So I think some of the people who have been just killing time on the mainland are now sort of going, well, apparently we might be able to go diving. Is this true? So I've had, in the last week, I've had sort of two emails to say that's cool.
Yeah. Happy days. Well, hopefully we'll get a few more people coming.
Hopefully more than two. But hey, man, anything? It's optimistic. It's a positive. It's a positive sort of change. It's hopefully we can be that optimistic that is just the start of things to come. But I mean, you don't know. I think it's going to be very erratic, certainly until low season of this year is over, which will be more like February, March next year. So still think it's going to be very, very erratic until then. However, if anybody wants to come, it'll be a great time to come anywhere between sort of now and that, because it'll be really quiet. So, anybody want to come? Give me a call. Yeah, but there you
go. Yeah, get all the dive sites to yourself. Happy
Absolutely.
days.
You should come over, mate. It's going to be epic. You like the...
Oh, dude.
Oh, no, you're not even allowed.
If I could. I'm not allowed. No, I'm in lockdown in Oz, man.
Was it Australia lockdown till January next year, something like that? End of this year, beginning next year?
It's something like that.
Right.
Give me the gossip. You've been diving, haven't you?
I have been. Yes, I have. No, we have. I mean, this whole thing as a business owner, like I'm sure every single business owner and or manager or whatnot in our business and every other business, this has like been pretty damn horrific. However, I think on the positive side of things, the reefs have had time to go, yes. And the fish have had time to go, yes. This is ours. We've done a couple of dives to the manta sites. Obviously, the most well-known around here is Manta Point. There's a couple of manta sites. One of them is, because the mantas are feeding there super, super close to the surface, very, very popular with snorkel boats. So although we do go there, sometimes the snorkelers can be a little bit overzealous. Sometimes they're not necessarily as well informed, should we say, by the snorkel operators about, don't just chase a fish because it's going to beat you in a foot race, a fin race in this case. No problem. So, don't be daft. Don't try and hug them or stuff. They look like they want to be hugged. Don't hug them. Sometimes people aren't particularly good at professing that and getting codes of conduct over to them. So oftentimes as a dive site, we don't necessarily go there, or certainly not in the morning when, it gets generally quite chocker sort of first thing in the morning. So our most popular dive site is Manta Point.
So the one you've just mentioned is Manta Bay,
yeah. Great dive still, all the same. There's fantastic stuff you can see there. It's really nice, really good for macro as well. But
well, that's where we got the dolphins.
That's where you got the dolphins last time. Yeah, it's really good for dolphins and
Jai swimming around after.
yeah. It's just, it's a magical place here. To be fair, you can see anything. But yeah, I've snuck on down to Manta Point with some friends a couple of times, and whether it's, the thing is, you can only speculate without actually having data and scientific sort of data to back it up with. But this time of the year is normally quite good for mantas anyway, as far as numbers. You can never guarantee numbers. You can never guarantee sightings. I'd say normally you've got about a 90% chance of seeing it. But we've been there a few times, and the numbers, it's just it's in loads. You just kind of, you jump on in, you go around, and there's, if you could take a snapshot with a camera, there might be, sort of, I think the most I kind of visually went, was 17 on the shallow cleaning station, which is in 8 meters of water. And then you kind of go for a little bit of a swim around, and there's there's another there, and there's a couple there, and they get cleaned all over the entire site. And yeah, it's been glorious. It's amazing. It's almost worth going, you know what? Let's just never open again. Let's just never open again. Obviously, zero cash. But it'd be never open again. Screw this. What do you take people for? Let's just go in. This would be selfish and enjoy the moment. But yeah, it has been, it's been very, very nice. The mantas have very much, I'm sure, clearly enjoyed a little bit of downtime and just taking back what's theirs. And again, some of the, I've done some shore dives on the reef just at the front here, along, I suppose, what you could almost say is our house reef. And again, there's been some nice fish action, and seen, some nice things. A couple of times seen a pink whip ray, and seen a whitetail stingray, and a couple of big eagle rays floating around, and then just some nice, just some nice fish action. But because of I think the reef, it's only been 3 months, so it's not like you're gonna, it's like this, this sort of euphoric sort of spring has sprung and the reef has just exploded into life. But I think there's been a nice sort of settling down of a lot of the fish haven't been disturbed by constant sort of noise, because I remember seeing there's been some scientific studies into how noise and vibrations sort of affect certain species of fish. So I think they've very much enjoyed a small amount of a return to normalcy, and the sort of the few little snapshots which I've been doing it's been great. It's just not been with customers.
Yeah. Well, you did that. You did that dive recently with a bunch of your mates on the island there, and someone luckily had a camera with the manta with all the fishing line on it.
That was actually, God, time is rapidly going by. When was that? That was probably end of April now. But yes, we were super lucky actually, because I say we're super lucky. the manta was probably a little bit luckier than we were, but it's our. So we have two relatively iconic manta sites, and probably one is more iconic than the other because the other one does get a lot more snorkel traffic. But this dive site is called Manta Point, and we are very lucky that we've got a good population of reef manta rays, Manta alfredi, and they are loving a lockdown. I'm sure that probably globally, because obviously of increased tourism, water sports tourism, whether it's anything from banana boats to snorkeling to diving, it does wage an impact on the local environment. And although we've got insanely beautiful reef systems here, and everybody's working hard to keep it that way, you can't not acknowledge that diver numbers and tourism numbers to the islands are going up, which includes diving and snorkeling and whatnot. And some people are not, or some dive operators are not as conscientious as they should be when it comes to getting a message across to their to their customers to interact in a responsible manner. And underwater, they're not as good as they should be when it comes to controlling their divers to not do stupid things. And oftentimes, you can see on our manta site in the high part of high season, just like people chasing them and whatnot. So they are having the time of their life at the moment. The few times which we've gone round to Manta Point just to kind of, with a boat with, 8 friends, and jump off, drop down, it's like 20, 30, and just you in the water, and you cruise around the whole site and you don't not see a manta. There's like there is less than a minute before you'll see another one, if you know what I mean. If you don't park yourself at what is essentially the shallow and like the main cleaning station, which if you can remember that one, because I know we've taken you there. But if you decide to move and go somewhere else and go for a bit of a swim, I would say that there is not a 60-second time period where you won't see at least another one. So it's really, really good for the marine life at the moment. Sucks if you're trying to run a business, but it's fantastic. But getting back to what you were saying, yes, we went to we did a bit of a reconnaissance mission, and then our second dive was at Manta Point, and we were fortunate that we were in the right place at the right time, because there was this manta ray which was very, very heavily wrapped up in fishing line, and to the point where you could actually see that it was badly restricting its swimming. And the line had actually cut up. I'm just using me. There's a video. It's sort of cut up. I used my wing. It actually came in from it. So it wrapped where it's like that beautiful kind of like diamond shape. At the back where the tail was, it kind of wrapped up so tightly that the line had cut into the body of the manta and had traveled up the body, as it had been wrapped up and tight and cut into the wing, and the flesh had started healing either side, and it healed. I mean, they're incredibly resilient creatures because they do heal from very, very hard wounds, but it came all the way up, and like there was a easily 30 to 50 centimeters up when I sort of cut this particular piece underneath and on top, and you sort of just pulled it out like a stitch, and it just kind of like when you get your stitch out, and it was a beautiful moment to be in the water and actually do this sort of thing. It was sad to see it, but it was incredibly beautiful to kind of help this like this manta and go free. And what was amazing about that as well was they are extremely smart creatures, and it was a female, and she knew we were trying to help her out and slowed down. And to any of your wonderful viewers who might be unaware of mantas, they are negatively buoyant, so they have to swim, because if they don't, they're just going to sink and they can't get off the bottom again. So she slowed down to the point where we could keep up with her to snip off like a ridiculous amount of fishing line. So it was beautiful. It was certainly one of the best moments of my diving life. But and I almost wish I could have appreciated it a little bit more, as opposed to freaking out and just like getting scissors and just trying to kind of cut and just make it better, because at any time whatsoever, you're like, this fish is massive, and if she decides to go, when's our next opportunity to do it? Because we were lucky. It had been 2-3 weeks since we last done a dive there, because obviously everybody was locked down. So it was incredible. It was really good. We got a video up actually somewhere as well. So I mean, maybe in the credits or however you're going to put this together, you can put a link to it, and people can see me being famous, all covered up with just the mask. And
definitely, I'll put it in a link underneath it when we do the podcast. And for anyone who wants to find out which one's Jace, like I say, he's an underwater ninja. But if you imagine a meerkat and the neck's going, and that's the diver underwater, it's Jace checking out where the trace is in the line.
I'm the guy with the scissors. I'm the guy with the scissors, and like just looking generally confused. There was a trailing bit at the back, and I just thought, she's just got this big bit of line at the back. Cut that off, and as I cut it off, I'm like, hold on, what's that? Oh, hold on, what's that? And it was just like a cat's cradle of. It was pretty horrible. But I mean, all credit to her, because she ripped that out of whatever it was on. Like it broke the line, and it would have been a good amount of pressure on the line. So, and sadly, again, the other thing is we don't go there with any regularity at the moment, anyway, to sort of see if she'd returned. I'd love to see her again and see how it's going. And sadly, the other thing is nobody was underneath to get an ID shot, so we don't even know which manta it is. So, so it's just one of those ones where you're like, well, it's a magic manta, but so that was cool. Yeah, that was really nice. It's one step closer to heaven. I've still got about a million different things to sort of repent for, but that's just one step closer.
It's a nice little tick in the box, isn't it?
It is.
There was I seem to recall there being some sort of manta research centre there.
Yes, there is. It's on the sister island next door. So basically, where I am, we have three islands: Nusa Lembongan, Nusa Ceningan, and Nusa Penida. Nusa Penida is the biggest one. That's where we're based, and it has the majority of the dive sites around it. There is a research science research base under the Marine Megafauna Foundation, and they are on Nusa Lembongan. And they're actually based out of our sister base. So we have a blue corner dive operation in Nusa Lembongan as well. Yeah. And their office is based in our dive center in Nusa Lembongan. So you have the Marine Megafauna guys there. They do a number of different initiatives. Originally, when this place was opening, or when the Marine Megafauna Foundation were doing their data collection, it was originally numbers, the basics, which is individual numbers, because obviously if you just look at a manta, you don't really know, unless there's like a snapshot where you've got X amount in the picture. It could be the same three swimming around and around and around, and you go, I saw 20. Yeah. So it was like IDs, sex, rough size sort of thing. And that's kind of grown to the distinguishing the two sites, because like I said, there's another site which is also called Manta Bay. So they've actually studied enough to distinguish the two sites for what they predominantly get done. And there's actually the Marine Megafauna Foundation did publish a paper on this on the manta sites in Penida, and what the characteristics of each of them are, and what they predominantly serve for the mantas. And then the research moving on from there being anything. I mean, one of the girls did a PhD in microplastics and the effect on mantas, and that included their base in Komodo as well as using information from here, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Which I think I'm correct in saying that's right. So there's various different links and projects with some of the other bases around, but the Marine Megafauna Foundation has been here probably since around 2011. It was originally set up under like a different umbrella from people who had been trained under Marine Megafauna Foundation, which is like their sort of main base where they originated from is Mozambique in Africa. Yeah. And these guys trained there, and then they started the initiative in Lembongan, and then the MMF basically took over with their staff and their PhD students and whatnot, and took it and ran with it to then develop it. So yeah, we've got a manta research station, as it were. There's also periodic studying of the sunfish, the ocean sunfish, or the one which we have, because obviously there's a few different species of those guys, but Mola alexandrini, as it were. So yeah, the sunfish. There's also some studies of that. There's a Bali Sunfish Foundation as well, which I think is actually based on the mainland.
See,
so we do have.
It's one thing I've got to point out here is I first met Jace probably 3 years ago now, maybe 4 years ago. But my sole purpose of going to the islands in Indonesia was to see a sunfish. It's just another one to tick off the bucket list. And I've been back, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times, and constantly miss out. Either it's appeared the day before I arrive or the day after I've left. And finally, was it back end of last year, September, October?
It was. I mean, there was a couple of times it was like, you're in the wrong season. And then there was the one dive I was like, well, we can have a run at this one, and then your good lady had equalizing problems, so it was okay. So that one's that, and then but then when you came back last year, I'm like, listen, you're coming in September, you're gonna get it, it's no problem. We're gonna get you one. So it was like we can do this. September's a great month for us. So.
And that is a good tip straight off. Go in September, please. Go in September. You get manta and mola on the same dive, 2 dives back to back, mantas and molas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were super lucky because, to be fair, like you had, I say super lucky. That's a complete and total lie, because we've got a population. It's just the right time. You know, you come at the right time. We theoretically, it does start getting more. You start getting more sightings because you can see them all year round, but they're super sporadic. But generally. And most people say that July is the start of the season. I feel that's a little bit early. I don't like lying to people. I mean, I'll happily take, anybody diving on anybody's money if it comes to it. But like, I won't flat out lie to people. Yeah. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. I'm a diver like everybody else. And if I go into a dive center and somebody says, "Can you see this?" You go, "Yeah, come back tomorrow. I'll take you." and then just flat out lying. I'm like, no. So July, you can start seeing them come on in. If you have if it's a El Nino or La Nina or something, and the colder water starts earlier and finishes later, you're probably gonna get a better season. But generally around July, it starts picking up. But personally speaking, the hot months, August, September, and then October, with I would say the best 4-week period being the last 2 weeks of August, all of September, and the beginning of October. Yeah. We can see them right into November. But that, for me, is the best time to see them. So when you were coming over in September, I was like, this is, unless you're insanely unlucky, we're going to be fine. And I remember both of those dives perfectly clearly, because the first one was at Crystal Bay. Yeah. And I was guiding a different group of people. And I had some guys, I'm like, look what we got. And I'm looking around and I'm waiting. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like, it's like... It's here, and the mola was just chilling and getting clean for like 10, 15, whatever minutes, and I'm like, and then when I saw the fins appear and you and the other guy, I was like, yes, okay. And then the second one, obviously, because a friend of ours, again to your wonderful viewers, they're going to know. The dive community is not necessarily as big as what people might think. So a friend of ours, being the lovely Jai Kennedy, was with me, and we were doing a bit of a swim around on Man's Point, and he was in a blooming swim through taking a picture of a nudie, which I was sat waiting for him to come out so nobody got split up, and it's just to go. And then you would just come back from where I'd been from where I saw another one. And I was like, quick. And Jai was just taking his sweet time, and it had gone by the time we got there. So you got a double bubble on that one, which is fantastic. So
that's it. I'm never visiting again now. That's it. Bucket list is done.
Well, no, you say that, but I didn't see in your pictures the mola and sort of manta shot. Yeah. So you need one and the other. Every year, somebody rocks up with comes back from Manta Point, having seen a mola and a manta, or got a picture. Yeah. I mean, you're going to see them at Manta Point pretty much almost guaranteed, but getting a mola and then a manta ray swimming past, getting either video or a picture of that. That's on my bucket list. I've not done that yet. I've done God knows how many dives there, and I've not actually seen the combo together yet. That's on my that's my thing.
Let's get COVID out of the way, and then next year we'll nail that one, and then we'll have to think of something else like a manta and a molar, both with pygmy pipe horse attached to them.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well, I mean, we keep getting all these wonderful. I mean, obviously your wonderful podcast being about scuba goat, and this is always going to be a difficult call on what anybody's individual motivations are. And as much as you can go around the world and you can go to places and see like similar creatures, I would say that this is what makes our area so damn good is our proximity, like the ease of getting to us. So the proximity to Bali International Airport is super easy, right? To get to us is easy. You yourself know that. It's land in Bali Airport, take a taxi to the harbour, jump on a boat, here you are. So that's super easy. And the variety of our marine creatures, like I said, I do not that I've done the research like huge amounts, but I don't know of anywhere in the world where you could dive with mantas and molars together. Yes, it would be luckier, but you get those pictures. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know of a place where that can happen. We're super lucky that our manta dive is insanely easy. Which is why you can go from snorkeling to discover scuba dive to whatever level of diver people are. And you got this incredible marine life. You got fantastic drift dives, beautiful coral walls, and you got small stuff as well as big stuff. People are finding small stuff all the time. I was just actually out the front of my beach where I've been going for a little bit of a shore dive to get wet. There's like to not plumb and kill myself. There is like a little pygmy seahorse down there somewhere. It depends how good people's eyes are and whatnot. But obviously, we are an island which is washed with current. So, sometimes seeing the more macro creatures is a little bit harder because if you're drifting along at one of the speeds which we get here, where you can't really stop, you'd be like, I'm not. Yeah, there could be something there which is small, but forget it. There's a trumpet fish. That'll do. That's the smallest thing we're going to see on the dive, kind of thing. So, why I think our hat gets thrown in the ring is literally some of these combinations, and then you get like random things pop up. So,
well, the random one that turned up the day before I arrived on the last trip was the great white shark.
Oh yeah. I was disappointed I wasn't there. Yeah. I was on the other side of the island, but I would have loved to have. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd have been. I don't have much of an ego. I would have absolutely cacked it, I'm sure. But I would have loved it. I'd have been like, I am glad I'm not snorkeling. Crystal Bay's a very popular snorkel spot as well. I'm glad I'm not one of the the people floating around in a really high vis orange jacket with your little legs doing this. It would have been amazing. You'd be like, but I mean, all factors, and the video and the pictures point to the fact it was probably a very large pregnant female who was on a migratory route, so she wouldn't have been eaten anyway. But I would love to. Yeah, I would have. There's. I don't know. I probably would have given. There's a lot of things I would give to have seen that.
What was that? What was the restaurant called that we went and had ribs at? It was amazing.
Oh, that was at the that was the hotel where I recommend people to stay. Arsa Santi. Yeah, nice accommodation, good ribs.
Yeah, and that's just down the road from you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, short walk. The dog loves the bones as well, so it's a double feed. Me and the dog. Here's the rib for me, here's the bone for the dog. So it's a double feed. It's good work.
We've got to point out that Chuckles does play an integral part in the dive community on Nusa Penida.
He does. Chuckles is both the complaints manager, he's also the mascot, and he also has Instagram. So he's like, he's the first ever dog. I think somebody's stolen his thunder a little bit, but he's the first ever dog to have an Instagram account, certainly in Bali and Nusa Penida. Yeah. He takes his fame seriously by just sleeping and not caring about any of it. So and he will accompany us on the boat on a number of occasions. So
and he can sniff you out from a bloody mile away, because I remember on several occasions we've been at the dive shop, got on the scooters to go to dinner and just buggered off and see you later, Troubles. And he's trotted off the 2.5 kilometres to get to the random restaurant that we've decided to pick on the way on the scooters, and found you just so he could get some more food from the kitchens of the restaurant.
Yeah. Actually, I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that very night with the ribs. I decided, I don't know where the dog's gone. He's gone begging somewhere else, and then he just appeared out of nowhere like a wraith in the darkness. What are you doing here? How did you even know I'm here? So yeah, clearly I've got some pheromones, which are. And it was me thinking, I shower and I'm a relatively clean human being, but I guess I'm not that clean after all. So, yeah. But he is an integral part to the operation, and he does oftentimes accompany us on boat trips and or dives. He is extra surface support, and yeah, he seems to be doing all right at things, and people seem to like him.
Yeah, not that he's done his rescue course yet. He's not going to help you if you do get in trouble.
No, he'll just watch and he'll watch, possibly sleep through it. There's a chance he'll sleep through it. He might watch. He'll be eyes on, surface support like that. But we have been working on his radio skills, because obviously, he's been working on his pressing the call button, his radio skills in this lockdown scenario. They're not that great, but we've been working on it.
Yeah. Anyway, another element that we obviously need to point out is the sunfish.
The ubiquitous sunfish.
My nemesis for many a year.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So throughout the year, Nusa Penida does have changes in temperature, as you would expect, and the water temperature as well. And these sunfish tend to populate the water at particular times of the year when people like me, who are pretty dumb and stupid and don't listen, rock up outside of those times and don't see said sunfish. And after about the third or fourth time of visiting the island, decide to come slap bang in the middle of said season for sunfish. And the very first dive, we get a sunfish.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how we roll. I mean, very little's known about sunfish. There's a lot of ongoing research. But yeah, they tend to populate the water pretty deep, where obviously it's a lot colder. And then often people tend to say that it's around this time, about July, you start getting more regular sightings of them here. I'm not quite as, what's the word? I don't tend to say that. It's very randomized. Obviously, cold water season here, again, it can also be longer or shorter depending on things like El Niños, La Niñas, and whatnot. So yes, you can. If you have like a longer cold water season, then you can have it earlier and finish later. But if we talk like a normal season, I don't. When I get emails or people asking me, I don't like to necessarily fake claims of it being July. July you can see, but you'd be pretty lucky. Normally August is when you really start getting more regular sightings. August, and I would say September is bang on the hottest month, and then coming into October is good, and then it drops away. The best 8 weeks I would say is normally the last 2 weeks of August, all of September, first 2 weeks of October, and it's pretty banging. And you can see them all around the island. There's some dive sites which are a bit more popular than others, depending on how people have marketed them and whatnot. But you can actually see them all around the island. But there are for sure a couple of sites where you can see them a little bit more. Generally speaking, you've probably got a better chance. Obviously, with your good self, sir, the first dive site which we went to when you saw them, because you were very lucky with obviously you just saw two back to back. You're like, oh, I broke my duck, and there's another one. But the first dive site was called Crystal Bay, which is actually quite a nice dive site for a number of things. It's a great macro site out of season. It's a good site for anything. It was a site last year when you saw. It was a shark. It was a site last year when I think it was September. Yeah,
it was the day.
Very.
It was the day before I arrived.
Okay, cool. There you go. Yeah, it was September then. I mean, I wasn't on the site, so I'm not as horrifically gutted as I would have been if I'd been on the site. But there was the water was super cold. I think the water was like 17 or 18 degrees. People were saying, and a great white 4+ meter long, 4-ish meter long. People were guessing it was probably a pregnant female. Came kind of cruising past Crystal Bay, and a number of people saw the fish, took some pictures, took some video. our sister dive center on Nambong, and they had a bunch of people in the water, and they saw it. They got some pictures from that. It's the first ever confirmed sign of a white shark in Nusa Penida. I think in 2016 or something, one had been seen off of Bali. So they have been known to migrate previously. But yeah, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not as gutted as I would have been. I got a friend who's got a dive center on Nambong, and he had like a kid on a DSD or something. I can't remember. And he, for whatever reason, was controlling the kid and had to hold on to him. And the kid was looking over his shoulder and saw the fish swim. And I think took a picture. My buddy's looking in the opposite direction and missed everything. I would have been like, yeah, I'd have gone back. And do you know what I mean? That's when you trash the office. That's when you go back, wave everybody off and just basically throw everything outside. Just, just trash the place.
Mate.
But
I'd thrown a proper paddy. The fins would have gone in the bin, everything.
Oh, mate. I would have, there's a very good chance that I would have, Wolverined myself through the office and just tore everything apart with just like fists of rage. But I thankfully wasn't that unlucky. I was on the north coast and diving up there. But yes, we do get getting back to it. Those cold water upwellings which we get can actually get down. It's not normally stabilizing at around 17, 18 degrees. That's normally like super cold. I'd say it's normally stables around 20. And it's pretty sustained around the south side. And then the north side is normally 5 degrees colder. Given the fact that this island really, when you look at it on a scale on the size of it, it's not a massive island. But the difference in water temperature from the north side to the south side is crazy. And that's because you have a mixture of oceans. You have the Indian Ocean pushing its way up into what would be the Pacific Ocean, which is draining its way down. And there is a bigger push during this. It's a monsoon season, really. So it's a wind direction change and whatnot, and that assists pushing this cold water this way, and we get these cold water upwellings, and that is what brings the sunfish. And yeah, I mean, as a note on that, I do not know. I don't know anywhere. I've not heard of any other stories of anywhere where you could really find a sunfish hanging out with a manta ray per se. And where you saw your second, because obviously we did the Crystal Bay Manta Point back-to-back one, and I was like, we're going to jump on in here and try and find ourselves a molar for you, which we did, and it just hung out, and you could get some nice pictures. And then we're going to cruise on to Manta Point and have a play with some manta rays, and then obviously you were lucky enough to get a molar at Manta Point as well as mantas. And again, I mean, people have been very lucky that in that September sort of period. You can jump on in the water there, and you can go to a deeper part of Manta Point, and you will get the sunfish coming in cleaning there, and then a manta might be swimming around to come past it to sort of like cruise on up into into the shallower areas or whatever to get some cleaning. So, I mean, I don't know I don't know if there's any other parts of the world where you might be lucky enough to get a manta ray and a molar in one shot, but I certainly haven't heard of it yet.
Well, that's the challenge for the next time I come.
Yeah,
I've not seen. Well, I've only ever seen the two molar on that last trip. So obviously I'm gonna have to come back and spend a little bit of time and try and get the shot of the molar with a manta.
Yeah. Well, have a run in the middle of September, middle to the end of September. All the people have gone back home, kids are going back to school. Gets a little bit quieter, and see how you get on.
It gets a little bit quieter than COVID times.
Yeah, come. This is it. If you can sneak out, build yourself a boat, sail on over. Yeah. All right, we can park you up and go from there. But I honestly, again, I'm like, wow. I think, again, we will be able to be open for like local tourism, this next week, and then. If the easing of restrictions are going okay, because the governor of Bali has said, it depends on how things go. But they're earmarking sort of September, October time for international tourism. Now, obviously, again, it depends on which other countries have opened up to and recommend sort of flying over here. But, that's, people aren't necessarily going on holiday that time of year because if they've got kids, for instance, is me going back to school, but also it really depends. Normally, like European summer vacation kind of is petering out. But if one assumes that it's going to be like mantas, I'm going diving.
Yeah.
I'm out there. I'm going diving. I'm spending the last. I'm selling all my clothes. I'm selling everything I got. I'm going to give it to my captain to just keep giving him I'm buying fuel, and I'm just like paying the captain like little bits of money. I'm going diving, and it could be a really insane sunfish season. Who knows? But I'll be like, I'm going diving. Let's see how many sunfish we can tick off. I mean, sometimes you can actually still see them in good numbers. Like last year again, our sister base did a dive right at the front. I mean, we're called Blue Corner Dive because our original base is opposite the dive site Blue Corner, which can be quite it's a dive site for experienced people, and it can be tricky. You have to be prepared for the fact that it can be tricky. So we don't just take anybody there, but they'll do some experienced dives right, and it's like a 3-minute boat ride from where the base is in Mbongan, and they might do like an early morning sunrise dive there. I do that too sometimes, actually, to be fair. I normally, I'll do it like a little bit. It'll be early morning still, but, the sun has peaked up a little bit, so it's not quite dawn.
We did that last time.
Yeah, and I'll jump on in, and I've seen like sort of 3-4 kind of, knocking around the area, Sometimes the guys have gone in there and they've sort of seen like 10.
Yeah.
What? 10? Okay, sign me up. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if everything's quiet, and if it's not busy again, I mean, maybe it'll be like the sunfish will be like the mantas, and you'll be like, boom, boom, boom. Who knows? I mean, I did it. Yeah, I did Blue Corner with had one guest who really, 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 really wanted to do it. I said, okay, yeah, well, it's just you, and then my buddy was like, can I come? I said, go on in, and we went in and we went down, and like we had 3, and it was like, okay, yeah. That dive did not suck. Yeah. And also you get lots of marble rays there sometimes. I mean, it can be crazy. You can see like 20 marble rays, like and really big, full grown adults, like kind of cruising past. So yes, we do. The sunfish is definitely a box ticker, and I think this year, I don't know, I'm quietly excited about just going off and just going for a couple of private dives. It sounds really bad. People are going to hate this podcast. Like, screw you, buddy. Like,
Let's talk about diving at Nusa Penida with Blue Corner and listen to the guy saying, no, stay away, I just want to go diving.
I mean, like, you don't even want to take us out. You just want to go out on your own. And the sad fact is, when we get people back, I'm going to be in the office. Yeah. So, I mean, like, how was your diving? It was great. You know what I mean? Like, saw your podcast. How come you didn't come out dive with us? Paperwork. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I feel that, but that would also be really good because that could also be an indicator on like the next season and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, as much as that, actually, it's great. Hopefully people are going to be massively jealous and go, do you know what, mate? I want to have that grin. I'm going to be like, I want to be the guy who sat there all smug going, yeah, saw four sunfish, totally fine.
Yeah. You've not been one of the millions of divers out there that have been dressing up and sitting in front of a TV screen in their scuba gear, dreaming of it.
Yeah, no, I've not. No, because I've actually managed to shore dive a few times actually, but no, I've not. I've just been sat, just paranoid. I just was like, when are we going to get people? Noodles again for dinner, Chuck. So I mean, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, the good thing is I'm just sat here talking about my success stories, not about like the miserable stories, which I've kind of like woefully had issues on. You can do like we had and I will just to like like line it up so like the people who don't just continually just hate us. But like. We actually had a run again like last year. Like we can see anything here. One of the things which I love about diving again, this is kind of like why I moved here for a couple of reasons. I'd say 3 main reasons. Firstly, accessibility, easily accessible. You've got like if you go to some of what is viewed by whoever the people are, like when people rate stuff and nobody knows who these people are who rate things, you're like, oh yeah, this is like the best whatever. And you go, according to who? Yeah. So, people who say like, this is great. And I've been to some of these places have gone, yeah, to be fair, this is great. But, consistently vote certain things as amazing. I look at that, but I also look at the fact that ease of accessibility and the fact that I'm now living someplace. I've worked, for instance, in Borneo and Sipadan, which is a fantastic dive, absolutely. And I see why I know why it's voted consistently in, say, like the top 3 dive sites in the world. And it is very, very, very good. but I've lived there. And there is nothing going on there. You know what I mean? There is nothing. You would fight crickets there because there is nothing going on there, right? Like, it's like, what can we bet on today? Well, how many grains of sand are in my hand right now? There is, you know, so there's a lifestyle, there's an accessibility choice, there's a quality of diving, and that sort of stuff. Like lining that up was why I choose to live where I choose to live and be here. Yeah. And, you know, you fly into an international airport, like you said, you get on in a cab or, you know, fast boats. When you book a fast boat, they can arrange a transport. They've all got pickup systems. They stick you on a boat. They bring you over to Penida, which is like a 40-minute drive. Boom, here you are. Lovely little island paradise. It's also got, you know, a little bit of creature comforts, you know, and it's up and, you know, and it's building on that. So you've got some very nice restaurants, which we've eaten at, some nice comfortable accommodations. You know, you can get an internet signal if you want to upload and sort of make people jealous. Yeah. And then you've got the quality of diving. And we got some insanely amazing world-class reefs around here, like beautiful, beautiful drift dives with just, you know, really good diverse amount of coral and just schools of fish. And then obviously you've got the mantas and you've got the molars. And then we also get these random things like anything can happen. Dolphins, the odd whale, and then random shark. Yeah, the odd random shark species like threshers and hammerheads, whale shark. I have seen an oceanic blacktip here. Scared the hell out of me. Was amazing. Beautiful, beautiful experience. But, you know, and then moving on as I kind of, you know, digress from my story. But last year, up on the north coast, which is beautiful and, stunning drift diving, coral walls, you know, loads of fish, fantastic. There was this period of about a week to 10 days where you would jump on in there and there was a thresher shark. Anywhere between 1 and 3 thresher sharks. Wow. And anywhere between 5 meters and 30 meters. And it was around the time when you visited. Maybe a little bit after or something, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
It was either just before or just after, but not when you were there, Matt. Yeah.
No, not when you were there. I mean, you were there, but, you know, you just didn't see them turn that way. But, like, the viz was really nice as well. And I had a couple of people diving with me. They wanted to see some fish. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go up there because also, again, we've been seeing them along the north coast in a lot of regularity. Jumped in, went down, and on the boat there's say three groups. There was me, another dive group, and then there was our friend Nick, who was playing around with a rescue course. He was actually assisting. He was a corpse, to be fair, on the rescue course. And so they're all playing around doing like rescue skills and stuff. So we go in, and I think I was the second group of my little. No, it's the first group of my little team. Went in, went down, floating along, 40 meters viz, really good viz, advanced open water divers. Drop down 25 or so meters, looking around like a meerkat. I'm like John, like looking everywhere, right? And I'm looking up, I'm looking down, I'm looking left, I'm looking right, I'm looking backwards, looking below me, I'm looking just everywhere. We cruised, obviously, man, it was cold thermocline, huge marble ray, it was banging, it was nice, beautiful, beautiful. Came up, and there's people from other dive centres who I know and whatnot as well, and I recognise boats. Group pop up in front of me, they're like, whoa, there's a thresher shark. I was like, ugh. People pop up behind me, you know, sort of 20 meters, 30 meters behind me. Oh, thresher shark. I'm like, that whole kind of, you know, come back and Wolverine through the office at some point. Right, fine. Get on the boat. My other group of divers saw bloody sunfish. We hadn't. I'm like, what more could I do? I can almost see Bali. You know what I mean? Like through the ocean, it was that clear. And I was just like, why is this happening to me? This is not good. Right, fine. We can do the same dive here, same dive site, whatnot, or just drop a bit further down, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, we're going to do it again. Guys came back from the rescue course. Do you see that thresher? I'm like, I'm going to kill you. You need to shut up right now. You need to, everybody on the boat needs to not say a damn thing. Like, eat your lunch, have a cup of tea, be quiet. Because this is not happening. It's not happening. So then we did the same dive site again. And I didn't see a thresher again, or a molar. And then, I was like, just going to go home and just curl up in the back room of the office and just basically. So, I mean, I like to feel that I'm a relatively lucky and successful diver, but not on that day. That sucked. So, well, how can you be doing?
If I can let you into a little knowledge there, you said there was Nick doing a rescue. You were on one team and there was another dive team. I was on the other dive team.
Oh, was that you? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the molar. Yeah. I was hating life.
I'm in tears again. I'm just having flashbacks for you of you having a paddy on the boat.
Right. Now then, we're doing it again, kind of slightly different. We're just going to move 40 metres down this way. Just have a catchment area, just a bit bigger. But yeah, it's, oh man. And then somebody's like, oh, it's so fresh animal. I'm like, let's, oh. It's like, right, what boat were you on? Yeah, I'm going to go underneath that boat and pop a hole in it. So yeah, it was, I mean, you know, I do have flashes of envy. But yeah, I am a relatively lucky diver as a rule. But that sucked that day. I was not feeling the love, and I just right, fine. You know what? I'm sending everybody else to do it, and then they come like, oh, it's all good. I'm going to stay in the office and just try not to explode with anger and envy. So no, I mean this is it. This is what makes our area so beautiful. I mean, just anything amazing can just wander past. You know, I went back to the UK to visit my parents in October last year. I came back. I was messing around in the office doing like all paperwork and whatnot. So I was tied up for like 2 days doing that. And then I ended up, a guy signed in late, and I took this English guy out one-on-one the next day, and we all jumped in the water and we're floating around as we first dive back. And a whale shark came from the deep water right up, just decided, there's two people, they'll do. And he just came up out of the blue, came right towards us, swam right past diagonally, picture, went right past us with two, by the way, massive giant trevallies as like bodyguards or something, and went up to the surface and then just cruised on the surface past. And like, obviously people on the surface, all the boats on the surface and whatnot saw him and stuff. My captain saw him on the surface and that. And it was just me and this guy. And he was like, oh, that's fantastic. I've never seen a whale shark. And I was like, oh, cool, lovely. And then obviously the other guys on the dive, conversely, it's like, wow, you saw those bloody threshers like a month ago. And they're like, oh, well, we missed it. Like, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's a win. That's a tick in the W. That's a W for Jason. That's a tick in the win box for me. Definitely. So, I mean, yeah, we get anything cruise past. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal diving.
Well, I like and I've got to point out again, the diversity of any of the dive sites that you go on, because, a number of occasions when diving with you guys, I can't remember his name actually. One of the Indonesian dive guides that you use, I think he's your man.
Oh, Mangus.
Mangus. That's it.
Yeah.
Diving with him a few times, and being a bit of a photographer and getting down there looking for the macro, all that kind of stuff. And you can be photographing, let's say, nudies or hairy squat lobsters or something like that, and then you've got Magnus who just gives you a little tug on your fin. You're like, oh, you're trying to ruin my shot. No, man, look up. And there's a bloody manta going over across the top of your head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, we're pretty lucky with both of our manta sites with that sort of stuff. I mean, you can see like blue ring octopus at Manta Point and Manta Bay, and there's like a lot of different. There is a number of different nudie species and stuff. I mean, Nick is a big fiend when it comes to things like nudie ranks and whatnot. He's a big fan of those, and he loves the Manta Point and the Manta Bay for both of that. He's like, yeah, we're good, and I'm going to look down as well. And we've got a good diverse amount of species of like nudies and slugs and shrimp and crabs and whatnot as well. And it is the diversity in everything. I mean, like the coral species themselves are really, really diverse and really, really good. It's interesting to see when you're drift diving along how some of the sites, and I mean, personally speaking, how I break up a dive site is almost like what the dominant, or what you can see pretty much the overall dominant coral species is. And like you can see that certainly like when you go around, like for instance, like the northeast, and then when you come back along the north, and as you cruise along the north, because some things are more like sort of soft coral gardens, whereas some of them have got those big sort of almost pyramid looking sort of brighty sort of coral heads, and then some of them are the more sort of staghorn and elkhorn and sort of branching corals, sort of dominant. Even though they're all mixed in elsewhere, it's just there's just this section where it's like way more dominant of a species than another one, and I mean everything from the coral to the macro to the megafauna is really quite it's beautiful, it's breathtaking, and I don't get bored. And that's another signal which I know that I like where I am, because I don't get bored. I jump in and do my favorite dive site is I'm basically parked at the end, or just past, I would say, the end of my favorite dive site on the island, which is called SD Point. And I could do that every day, 3 times a day, and just be like, this is great.
Yeah.
And not get bored. It's hard sometimes to actually focus. And which one of the things I love about this North Coast is the density of fish can be so much, can be so populous with fish. And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't matter. I mean, I know everybody's got like bucket lists and things to check off. But, the actual fish density in some places, whether it's butterfly fish and like you say, we got common species of butterfly fish and triggers and surgeonfish and whatnot, but there's so many of them, and like fusiliers, you can be floating along and there's like 5 minutes of just fusilier just still coming past, and you're like, wow, this is fantastic. It's been like 5 minutes. Where's the end of this train? And that I love that, because there's very, very few places where I've been where you've got the amount of fish. And for me, like I said, it doesn't matter that it's necessarily like common species. We get rare species of certain bits and pieces as well. But like, the fact that you've got that density of fish is like, yeah, I just float here every day and I don't care. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. I mean, preaching to the converted, obviously, but it is fantastic. The colours and the amount of fish, it does blow my mind. I love that. A little bit of drift, fish up in a water column, loads of it, and then who knows what's going to happen in the blue. It's glorious. It really is.
Well, I think to kind of round it all off, I think Nusa Penida is just one of those places where once you've visited it and dived it, you just want to go back and see more of it. So, as you know, I mean, every time I'm doing an expedition into Indonesia, I always add on 3 or 4 days at the start,
a couple of days, or
at the back end of it, and just come and dive at Nusa Penida.
It's truly worth it. I mean, it really is. I'm one of the things which in some respects saddens me the most is, and maybe it shouldn't, I don't know. It depends on how you want to look at it. How you view. Well, you screwed yourself there, mate. But like you get, it's almost like the world. What's good about this is I hope, again, from your podcast, and the way in which the people who most of the time, you've met and are linked to you, is these are people who dive and they're like a little bit more, what's the word, enthused by it. You get a lot of people who go down and think it's great, and then I respect the fact that there's budget involved and stuff, but there's you get people who, and part of it, I suppose, is a little bit to do with society today, and there's instant gratification. But they're like, tick, 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 tick. Oh yeah, I want to come and see mantas, and I don't want to do mantas. And normally in high season, I mean, normally this time of the year, if this had been a normal year, I would probably have one boat which would pretty much sea condition dependent be doing Crystal Bay, Manta Point, Crystal Bay, Manta Point, Crystal Bay, Manta Point every day.
Yeah. Because
you get people coming in for, all they want to do is one day diving. And they've heard that Crystal Bay is great, which is a great dive site, absolutely. But I would say most people who you can speak to dive around here, that won't be their favorite dive site. We've all seen phenomenal stuff there, but consistently day in, day out, we're like, nah, I'd rather dive elsewhere. But you get people who hear about Crystal Bay, and obviously they want to see manta rays. And my opinion is you want to spend 2 to 3 days diving, three days diving, and you can, pick up some nice drift diving and like I said, it's fantastic reef northeast, like from the west through to the east. You can get in a manta dive, or maybe 2 if you wanted to, redo again. And that's why, yeah, for sure. You come in and sneak on into Indonesia. Go, yeah, I'll be sneaking up for 3 days. Perfect. Let's fix you up with something else. What do you want to do this time? Kind of thing. And it is, but the amount of recycling of people on high season on a daily basis, and whether it's, so it's like a solid backpacker crowd per se, but it's like I want to do, man, and I love when people kind of go, I want to do, and it's weird actually as well, because pretty much places where I work, they've always gone, this is where we're going, and in some respects, it's almost like the menu can be changed of, yeah, I want to go here. Now, granted, I do go on an almost daily basis to Manta Point in Crystal Bay. But it's really funny answering emails when they say, like, we only want to go here, or I want to go here. Like, I'm sorry, where's your experience to dictate to me when we should be doing a dive site? You're an open water diver with 6 dives. I'm really not sure you're qualified to say when we can go to this point. But I mean, I get it. I do understand that, but it's almost like box ticking. And I'm like, you should give yourself the time to enjoy the rest of this island and what it's got to offer, both underwater and on land. Have a dry day and rent a scooter and cruise around and see like the incredibly cool stuff here.
Yeah.
From land as well. I mean, again, Nick went to Manta Point on his birthday, and he went to Manta Point on scooter and looked down and could see like the bodies of at least 60 manta rays floating around on, you know, that's how much they're enjoying it at the moment and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So, you know, people can do everything from above, and then, well, amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, and that's, I think, the majority of people that will listen to this podcast, and certainly the people that go through nomadic scuba, just drop that in there, are people who are experienced, and as keen as they are to do particular locations to tick those boxes, they are completely understandable that, you know, conditions change, and the people on the ground are the people who can say whether we can do things or not.
Yeah. Well, I believe I mean, we have had a wonderful nomadic scuba customer come floating through before, having the best time. I mean, and this is it. You know, people coming through nomadic scuba, obviously, again, they're doing, you know, sort of X amount of days. You know, it's like, I'm a diver, I'm on a dive holiday. You know, I'm specifically doing like dive holiday sort of stuff, which is why for me, I mean, I love that sort of thing. It's like, right, let me give you diversity and you know, obviously can't guarantee fish per se, but it's like, let me give you the best that we've got to offer on these given days. Let me show you stuff. Come and play, you know? And that's, you know, that's really great. When you got people sort of like 3-4 days, it's like, right, you have fun here. And then obviously, again, if they want to, the good thing about here with that is oftentimes in the morning, we do a 2-time morning dive, and then you're back around lunchtime. And if you do want to go and explore the island, you can then go and explore the island a little bit.
Or you can jump back on the boat and go and do some more diving.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the other thing. We got a third dive in the afternoon. So if you want to go and play in the afternoon, we can go and do that. But, you know, like I said, if you go, well, I want to check out, you know, Clinking or whatever, which is the T-Rex dinosaur, you know, that exploded on Instagram in the last sort of 18 months when everybody's trying to get an Instagram picture. Majority of people are there in the morning because there's a lot of these land tours. So they all go there in the morning, and then they kind of do like a series of like, you know, here first, then here, then here. You go there in the afternoon, middle of the afternoon, you've got a much better chance. First thing in the morning or like middle of the afternoon, you've got like a much better chance. So you're avoiding the herd. And if you want to get those, you know, that sort of sites and stuff, so you can do a couple of dives and then explore the island a bit, or do 3 dives and have a post-dive beer. Yeah. You know,
that sounds good.
That's how we roll.
Oh, Jace, we've been talking well over an hour now. It's flown by.
Sorry.
So I think we'll get it wrapped up. How do people find you? Where are we going to get you on your social media and all that kind of thing?
All right, social media goes thusly. Okay, let's go this then. So we do have a website which incorporates all our bases, because we also have, other than Lembongan and here, there's actually a base in the marine park in West Bali in Menjangan. So our website is www.bluecornerdive.com. Specifically, our Facebook page. You know, you can look up Blue Corner Dive Nusa Penida. Instagram is Blue Corner Penida. And then obviously, I mean, email address is penida@bluecornerdive.com. That will come through to me anyway. I'm pretty much everything to do with admin. We're a small dive base here. So we're small and friendly and try our best to look after people. So you'll be getting, you know, random sarcastic messages from me, possibly, depending on how our relationship builds over emails. So yeah, penida@bluecornerdive.com is me. And I will send you the link to our wonderful manta rescue if you've not already got it. And you can send that, and you can see how nice and genuine a person I really am, and and everybody who works for us.
Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to coming back and diving together again.
No worries, dude. The pleasure's all mine. Let's do another podcast sometime.
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
Cheers, brother. Speak to you soon. All the best. Yeah, stay safe.
This is Scuba Goat Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver. Welcome, dive buddies. This is Scuba Goat Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver.
Brendan, Liz, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Very well, thank you.
What's been happening at your end of the world?
Well, we're currently based in Thailand, And fortunately, it's one of the better recovered countries regarding COVID-19. So we have been able to get about a little bit, which is really nice. So we've been making the best use of our time, trying to drive certain campaigns that we feel are really important and that we can try actually have an impact. Something positive during the time of COVID-19 was to do something really nice and to achieve something wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. Just before, because I'm going to ask you about the petitions for sure. But just before that, for those people that will be listening to the podcast that aren't aware what Shark Guardian is, can you just give us a bit of a background on how it's all started and how you've got to where you are now?
Sure. Would you like to start?
I'll start, yeah. I mean, to summarise, we're a UK charity, but as I say, based in Thailand.
The money generated by cricketers today is extraordinary, especially with a very...
But Shark Guardian has kind of been in the works for way more longer than that, isn't it? And you actually started going into schools around, I think it was 2010, 2011. We first went to some schools in Bangkok.